Elena, the glasses need polishing. And make sure you're wearing the proper uniform this time. My mother's voice cut through the kitchen like a knife. I stood at the sink, already dressed in the black and white server's outfit she'd ordered me to wear, fighting back tears of humiliation. This wasn't just any event, it was my sister Victoria's baby shower, and instead of being a guest, I was working as staff. Again. Yes, mother, I replied, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. I'd learned long ago that showing emotion only made things worse. The mansion buzzed with activity. Florists arranged elaborate centerpieces worth more than my monthly salary, or what used to be my salary before I quit my job. Not that they knew that. Caterers bustled about with trays of petit fours and champagne flutes. Everything had to be perfect for Victoria's special day. Elena. Victoria's sharp voice made me flinch. She waddled into the kitchen, one hand on her pregnant belly, the other clutching her phone. Why aren't the welcome drinks ready? The guest will be here in an hour. I bit my tongue. I wanted to remind her that I wasn't actually staff, that I was her sister, that I should be sitting among the guests celebrating the upcoming arrival of my niece or nephew. But what was the point? I'm working on it, Vicky, I said softly, continuing to polish the crystal glasses. She rolled her eyes. God, you're so slow. This is why you never succeeded at anything. Thank goodness Daddy always takes care of you. If only she knew. If only any of them knew. My phone buzzed in my pocket, a text from James, my husband. My secret. James. Everything okay, love? Remember, timing is everything. I smiled, typing back quickly. All good. They have no idea. Victoria peered over my shoulder. Who are you texting? Don't tell me it's another one of those loser boyfriends. I locked my phone screen. Just a friend. She snorted. Right. Well, get back to work. And remember, when you're serving, keep your head down. I don't want you embarrassing me in front of my friends. As she left, I thought about James, about our beautiful penthouse in the city, about the ring I'd carefully hidden away this morning before coming here, about the truth that would soon shatter my family's carefully constructed reality. 2 hours later, the party was in full swing. 50 of Boston's elite women filled the garden, sipping champagne and cooing over Victoria's designer maternity dress. I moved between them silently, refilling glasses, collecting empty plates, playing the role they'd assigned me perfectly. Oh, Victoria, darling. Mrs. Anderson, one of Mother's oldest friends, exclaimed. I heard the Winters family is attending. How did you manage that? I nearly dropped my tray. Mother's face lit up with pride. Well, you know how these things are. The Winters have always been selective about their social engagements, but given our family's standing, I had to bite my lip to keep from laughing. They had no idea that the only reason the Winters were coming was because of me. Is it true? Someone whispered. Are they really worth billions? The oldest family in Boston, another guest added. So private, so exclusive. I heard they're looking to acquire new companies. Victoria preened. Daddy's been working on a merger with their corporation. This party might just seal the deal. If only they knew that James Winters, the youngest son and CEO of Winters Enterprises, was already married to the woman they dressed as a server and relegated to the kitchen. We'd met 3 years ago when I was working as an investment analyst. Not that my family knew about my career success. They still thought I was a struggling secretary. James and I had kept our relationship private, then our marriage 6 months ago. He understood my reasons, supported my need to show my family the truth in my own way. Elena. Mother's sharp voice cut through my thoughts. Stop standing around. The Winters will be here any minute. Everything must be perfect. I nodded, retreating to the kitchen. My phone buzzed again. James. On our way. Ready? Me, ready. I took a deep breath, straightening my server's uniform. Soon, very soon. The murmur of conversation outside suddenly hushed. I heard the distinct sound of car doors closing, followed by excited whispers. They're here. The whole family. Look at their cars. I peeked through the kitchen window. 3 black Mercedes had pulled up to the house. James stepped out first, tall and commanding in his tailored suit. His parents followed, then his brother and sister-in-law. Mother rushed forward, practically tripping over herself to greet them. Mr. and Mrs. Winters. What an honor. Victoria waddled over, beaming. Welcome to my baby shower. We're so delighted you could come. James's eyes scanned the crowd, finding me instantly through the kitchen window. The smallest smile played at his lips. The honor is ours, he said smoothly. Though I must admit, we're here for a rather special reason. Mother clasped her hands together. Oh, do tell. James stepped forward, his presence commanding attention. You see, we're here to celebrate not just a new life, but a union that's already taken place. Victoria's smile faltered slightly. I don't understand. My wife, James continued, his voice carrying across the suddenly silent garden. She's here today. Confused murmurs rippled through the crowd. Mother laughed nervously. There must be some mistake. We haven't seen. Elena, James called out, his voice warm and firm. Darling, would you join us? The kitchen door felt heavy as I pushed it open. 50 pairs of eyes turned to stare as I stepped into the garden, still wearing the server's uniform my family had forced me to wear. The silence was deafening. Victoria's champagne glass slipped from her fingers, shattering on the patio. Mother's face drained of color. Father, who had just arrived hoping to discuss business with the Winters, looked like he might faint. No, Victoria whispered. No, this is a joke. James walked over to me, taking my hand and kissing it softly. Elena Winters, he announced to the crowd. My wife of 6 months, and the reason we're all here today. Mother found her voice first. But she's just. Just what, Mother? I asked quietly. Just the family disappointment? Just the servant you dressed up for your perfect daughter's baby shower? James's mother stepped forward, elegant and poised. Elena has been a wonderful addition to our family, though I must admit, we were quite shocked to learn how her own family treated her. Victoria's face had turned an interesting shade of purple. This isn't possible. She's nothing. She's nobody. Actually, James's father spoke up, his voice carrying the weight of his authority. Elena has been instrumental in several of our recent corporate acquisitions. Her investment strategies have earned the company millions. Father swayed slightly. The merger will not be happening, James finished firmly. We don't do business with people who treat their own family as servants. The garden erupted in whispers. Mother's social circle was getting the scandal of the season. And for once, I didn't care about maintaining appearances. Elena, Mother stepped forward, her voice suddenly honey-sweet. Darling, why didn't you tell us? Would it have mattered? I asked. Would you have treated me differently if you'd known I was successful? That I'd married into the family you've been desperately trying to impress? Victoria was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks. This was supposed to be my day. It still is, I said calmly. I didn't come here to ruin your baby shower, Vicky. I came to show you, all of you, that the person you've been looking down on, the daughter you dismissed, the sister you treated like staff, she doesn't exist anymore. She never did. James squeezed my hand. Shall we, darling? Our dinner reservation awaits. I looked at my family, really looked at them. Mother's calculating eyes already planning how to spin this revelation to her advantage. Victoria's tears of rage and humiliation. Father's devastated expression as he realized the merger he'd been counting on was slipping away. Yes, I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Let's go home. As we walked to the car, I heard the explosion of conversation behind us. Tomorrow this would be all over Boston's social circle. The Winters' secret wife. The shocking revelation at the baby shower. The family who had no idea they'd been serving one of the city's most powerful women. But for now, sitting in the Mercedes with James's hand in mine, I felt nothing but peace. The truth was out, and for the first time in years, I could breathe. Are you okay? James asked softly as we pulled away from the mansion. I looked back at the house where I'd endured so much humiliation, where I'd been treated as less than nothing. A smile spread across my face. Never better. The server's uniform suddenly felt like a costume I finally get to take off. I wasn't their servant anymore. I wasn't their failure or their disappointment. I was Elena Winters, and I was finally free. The fallout was immediate and spectacular. By morning, my phone had over 200 missed calls and messages. The family group chat had exploded with accusations, pleas, and desperate attempts at damage control. I sat in our penthouse breakfast nook, sipping coffee and watching the sun rise over Boston's skyline, while James read the morning paper beside me. Your sister has called 17 times in the last hour, he mentioned casually, not looking up from his newspaper. I checked my phone again. Victoria's latest message read, "How could you do this to me? My baby shower is ruined. Everyone is talking about you instead of my baby." Mother's messages were more calculated. "Alina, darling, we need to discuss how to handle this situation. Your father's business associates are asking questions. Call me immediately." "They're trying to rewrite history," I said, putting my phone down. Mother's already telling people she orchestrated the whole thing. Apparently, she was testing me to see if I was still humble despite my success. James finally looked up, his eyes narrowing. "And the server's uniform. Part of her brilliant plan, obviously." I laughed, but it was hollow. "She's claiming she knew about us all along." The doorbell rang, making me jump. Our butler, Thompson, appeared in the doorway. "Mr. and Mrs. Harrison are here to see you, Mrs. Winters." My parents. Of course they'd show up unannounced. James reached for my hand. "We don't have to see them." But I was done hiding. "No, let them in, Thompson." They swept into our penthouse like they owned it. Mother's eyes darted around, taking in the expensive art, the designer furniture, the breathtaking view, calculating the worth of everything she saw. "Alina." She rushed forward, arms outstretched. "Darling." I stepped back. "Don't." Father cleared his throat. "Princess, we need to talk about yesterday." "Princess?" I repeated incredulously. That's new. Usually it's "Elena, don't embarrass us," or "Alina, why can't you be more like Victoria?" Mother's face tightened. "You're being dramatic. We've always supported you." "Supported me?" I couldn't help but laugh. "Is that what you call making me serve drinks at my own sister's party?" "That was a misunderstanding," Father said weakly. "No," James interrupted, his voice cold. "That was abuse." Mother's eyes snapped to him, suddenly calculating. "Mr. Winters." "James, surely we can discuss this like family." "Family." I felt something inside me snap. "Let's talk about family, Mother. Let's talk about how you told everyone I was a failed secretary when I was actually an investment analyst. How you made me work as staff at every family event because Victoria couldn't stand the attention being on anyone else." "We were trying to teach you humility," Mother protested. "You were trying to break me," I corrected. "But here's what you didn't know. Every time you made me serve drinks, every time you dressed me in a uniform, I was closing million-dollar deals. While Victoria was planning her baby shower, I was helping merge two of the largest tech companies in Boston." Father stepped forward, his businessman mask slipping into place. "Speaking of mergers, surely we can come to some arrangement about the Winters deal." "Not happening," James cut in smoothly. "Ever." Mother's facade cracked slightly. "Do you have any idea what you've done? The humiliation we're facing." "Humiliation?" I stood up, my voice steady. "You want to talk about humiliation? How about making your daughter serve drinks to her own family? How about telling everyone she's a failure while she's building a successful career? How about—" "Enough," Father shouted. "You've made your point. Now let's discuss how we're going to fix this." "Fix what?" I asked calmly. "The truth is out. Everyone knows who I am now." "And who exactly is that?" Mother's voice dripped with venom. "Mrs. Winters, you think marrying into money makes you special." James started to speak, but I held up my hand. This was my battle. "No, Mother. What makes me special is that despite everything you did to break me down, I succeeded. I built my own career. I found love with someone who sees me for who I am, not what I can do for them. And now," I smiled, "now I never have to prove myself to you again." The silence that followed was deafening. "Victoria's devastated," Mother finally said, trying a different tactic. "She's your sister." "Yes, she is. And when she's ready to see me as her sister and not her servant, we can talk." "This isn't over," Father warned, his face red. "You have no idea what you've done to this family." I walked to the door, holding it open. "I think we're done here. Thompson will show you out." As they left, Mother turned back one last time. "You'll regret this, Elena. Family is all we have." "No, Mother," I said softly. "Family is what we choose, and I've made my choice." After they were gone, James pulled me close. "You okay?" I leaned into him, watching the city below. Somewhere down there, my family was probably already spinning this story, trying to salvage their reputation. But for the first time in my life, I didn't care about their approval. "You know what's funny?" I said, turning to face him. They still think this is about money, about the Winter's name. They have no idea that I fell in love with you when you were just the quiet guy who kept asking for investment advice. James smiled, kissing my forehead. Their loss is my gain. My phone buzzed again. Victoria this time. Mom says you have to fix this. My friends won't stop talking about you. This isn't fair. I turned off my phone. What now? James asked. I smiled, real and free. Now we live our life. And they can watch from the outside for a change. The sun was high over Boston now, a new day dawning. And for the first time, I was ready to step into the light. 3 weeks after the baby shower incident, Victoria went into early labor. I found out through a series of frantic texts from distant relatives, all suddenly wanting to reconnect with the successful Winter's bride. Your sister is at Boston General, Aunt Martha wrote. She's been asking for you. I stared at the message, sitting in my office at Winter's Enterprises. The wall of windows behind me offered a perfect view of the hospital building just a few blocks away. I could be there in 10 minutes. You don't owe them anything, James reminded me when I called him. After everything they've done. I know, I said softly, but this isn't about them. It's about my niece or nephew. The hospital corridor was chaos when I arrived. Mother was orchestrating everything like a military operation, barking orders at nurses while father paced nervously. Neither noticed me at first. The private suite isn't ready yet. Do you know who we are? Mother's voice carried down the hall. My daughter needs the best care possible, which she's receiving, a familiar voice cut in. I turned to see James's mother, Catherine Winters, striding down the corridor in her impeccable suit. As head of the hospital's board of directors, her word was law here. Mother's face went through several interesting expressions before settling on sickly sweet. Catherine, I didn't expect. Clearly, Catherine said dryly, then spotted me. Elena, darling. I came as soon as I heard. She embraced me warmly, and I felt Mother's jealous gaze burning into my back. Victoria's asking for you, Catherine told me. Room 305. Mother stepped forward. Now wait just a minute. But I was already walking past her, pushing open the door to Victoria's room. My sister lay there, hair plastered to her forehead, looking more vulnerable than I'd ever seen her. Lena, she whispered, using my childhood nickname for the first time in years. You came. Of course I came, I said, moving to her bedside. You're my sister. She grabbed my hand as another contraction hit, squeezing so hard I winced. I'm sorry, she gasped. I'm so sorry for everything. Vicky, this isn't the time. No, she insisted, eyes fierce despite her pain. I need to say this. I was horrible to you. I was jealous and petty and cruel. I blinked, surprised. Jealous? Of what? Everything, she laughed, but it turned into a grimace. You were always so smart, so capable. You didn't need anyone's help to succeed. Not like me. That's not. It is true, she panted. Mom and Dad, they always had to smooth my way, buy my grades, get me jobs, arrange my whole life. But you did everything yourself, and I hated you for it. Another contraction hit, stronger this time. The monitors started beeping frantically. I need a doctor in here. I called out, and suddenly the room was full of medical staff. Baby's in distress, someone said. We need to prep for an emergency C-section. Victoria's grip on my hand tightened. Don't leave me, she begged. Please, Lena. I'm scared. I looked at her, really looked at her. Past the designer hospital gown, past the years of cruelty and competition, I saw my little sister. The girl who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms, who cried when I left for college, who somewhere along the way had gotten as lost in our parents' expectations as I had. I'm not going anywhere, I promised. What followed was a blur of activity. They wouldn't let me in the operating room, but I stayed right outside, pacing the corridor while James and Catherine kept me company. Mother and father were there too, but for once, they remained silent, perhaps sensing that their usual drama wouldn't be tolerated. After what felt like hours, a cry pierced the air. A few minutes later, a nurse emerged with news. Mother and baby are both doing well, she announced. It's a girl. The relief in the corridor was palpable. As they wheeled Victoria back to her room, I caught a glimpse of the tiny bundle in her arms, my niece. Elena, Victoria called weakly. Come meet your goddaughter. I froze. What? She smiled tiredly. If you want to be, that is. I know I don't deserve. Yes, I said immediately, moving to her side. Yes, of course. The baby was tiny and perfect, with a shock of dark hair like mine. As I held her, Victoria said softly, I'm naming her Elena Catherine. I heard Mother's sharp intake of breath behind me. She probably expected the baby to be named after her. But for once, she remained silent. She's beautiful, Vicky, I whispered, touching the baby's tiny hand. Like her aunt, Victoria said. I want her to be like you, Lena. Strong, independent, free. I looked at my sister, seeing real sincerity in her eyes for the first time in years. We'll teach her together. Later, as Victoria slept and the baby rested in the nursery, I found myself in the hospital cafeteria with James. Mother and father had finally gone home, and Catherine had returned to her duties. You're crying, James observed, handing me a tissue. I hadn't even noticed. Happy tears, I assured him. I think I got my sister back today. He took my hand. People can surprise you. She named her baby after me, I said wonderingly. After everything. Maybe this is her way of making amends, he suggested. A new beginning. I thought about Victoria's apology, about the way she'd looked at me, not with jealousy or resentment, but with admiration. About the tiny baby who shared my name. A new beginning, I repeated. I'd like that. My phone buzzed. A message from Victoria. The baby's awake. Come back up. I showed James the text, and he smiled. Go, be an aunt. As I walked back to Victoria's room, I felt lighter somehow. The past wasn't erased. Nothing could undo those years of hurt. But maybe, just maybe, we could build something new from the ashes of what was broken. Little Elena Catherine slept peacefully in her bassinet, unaware that her very existence had just bridged a gap that had once seemed unbridgeable. As I watched her tiny chest rise and fall, I made a silent promise. This little girl would grow up knowing she was loved for exactly who she was. She would never have to prove her worth or dim her light to make others comfortable. She would be free. And maybe in teaching her these things, Victoria and I would finally heal too. 1 year later, I stood in the garden of my family's mansion, but everything was different. The same space that had witnessed my humiliation at Victoria's baby shower was now transformed for little Elena Catherine's first birthday party. This time, I wasn't serving drinks. I was the guest of honor, Aunt Elena, the beloved godmother. She's trying to say your name, Victoria told me proudly as I held my niece. Well, trying to say Lena at least. It comes out more like Nana though. The baby grabbed at my pearl necklace, a recent gift from James. Her dark eyes, so like mine, sparkled with mischief. The past year had been one of profound change. Victoria had moved out of our parents' house, getting her own place closer to mine. She even started taking business classes at night, determined to build her own path rather than rely on our parents' connections. Mother and father, well, they were trying in their own way. The shock of the baby shower revelation, followed by Victoria's unexpected alliance with me, had shaken their carefully constructed world. Elena, darling, Mother approached, her voice lacking its former sharp edge. The photographer is ready for family pictures. Family pictures. Once upon a time, they'd made excuses to exclude me from these. Now they couldn't start without me. James appeared at my side, handsome as ever in his casual summer suit. Should we tell them? He whispered in my ear. I smiled, touching my stomach discreetly. At 3 months along, our secret was still ours to keep. But soon, little Elena Catherine would have a cousin to grow up with. Not yet, I whispered back. Today is her day. Victoria gathered everyone for the photos. She'd insisted on a specific arrangement, me in the center with the baby, her beside me, our parents flanking us. A year ago, this would have been unthinkable. You know, Victoria said quietly as we posed, I found my old diary recently. The one from high school. Oh? I wrote something terrible in it, she admitted. I wish she would just disappear. Can you believe that? Now I can't imagine life without you. The photographer counted down. 3, 2, 1. I'm not going anywhere, I assured her as we smiled for the camera. Later, as the party wound down and guests began to leave, I found myself alone with Father in his study, the same room where he'd once told me I'd never amount to anything. I was wrong, he said suddenly, staring into his whiskey glass. About everything. I waited, letting the weight of his words fill the space between us. You've done more on your own than Victoria and I ever did with all our advantages, he continued. I should have seen it sooner. Yes, I agreed simply. You should have. He looked up, eyes watery. Can you ever forgive us? I thought about the years of hurt, the humiliation, the pain. But I also thought about little Elena Catherine, about the baby growing beneath my heart, about the future we could build. I'm not doing it for you, I said finally. I'm doing it for her. For them. I touched my stomach lightly and saw his eyes widen with understanding. You're. I nodded. Due in winter. And this child, like Elena Catherine, will grow up in a different kind of family, one where success isn't measured by money or status, but by kindness and strength. He set down his glass, hands trembling slightly. I'd like to be part of that family. Then prove it, I said, standing. Not with words or money or business deals. Prove it with actions, with change, with love. Outside, I heard Victoria calling my name. Little Elena Catherine had woken from her nap and was asking for Nana again. As I left Father's study, I felt the last weight lift from my shoulders. The past couldn't be changed, but the future was ours to write. James met me in the hallway, concern in his eyes. Everything okay? I took his hand, placing it over my stomach where our child grew. Everything is perfect. And it was. Not because everything was forgiven or forgotten, but because I was finally truly free. Free to be myself, free to love, free to build the family I'd always dreamed of.